later. Let's begin with the business of the coffee chat. And joining me is none other than Hardy Jokos.
Morning.
I'm sorry. What is this?
This is my new Bible.
You're way too dramatic. This story excites you too much. I'm worried about it.
I was screaming in the newsroom yesterday. I was like, the report is finally out. I've been waiting for this report.
He held on to it for what? 4 months?
For way too long. And I think Finance Minister also had a hand to play in it being delayed. But anyway, here it is. It should be double.
We'll talk about it in a sec. Jeffrey Stevens.
Good morning, sir.
A very good morning to you.
Yes.
I'm not going to say anything about your suit, but you look nice. All right, guys, let's get on with this coffee chat. Let's begin first with the front page of the Mail and Guardian, and this is the story that I think it's gripped not just our country, but the world over. Their main headline, that's the Mail and Guardian's main headline, infection breeds fear. And I just want to read some of the sub-headlines there. Evacuees under threat from anxious communities, and can high-risk South Africans come home? The legal view. So they basically are looking at this from all angles. But I want to start with the very first sub-headline, the evacuees, the people, 122 South Africans coming from Wuhan. The community is up in arms in Limpopo, saying Limpopo is not a dumping site. Why do they hold this view, despite the reassurances that the people from Wuhan have been tested and retested and they are coronavirus free?
I think people are just extremely panicked. And I was listening to some people speaking yesterday in Limpopo, and they were saying that the virus isn't there, and they feel as though by bringing these people into the province, it's going to bring the virus there. But they must be very cognizant of the fact that the president made it very clear that they aren't bringing sick people back into the country. It's South Africans that are living in Wuhan. They want to come back home. They're, of course, feeling scared. And, I mean, as this headline clearly says, infection breeds fear. People are extremely worried. I'm worried. You know, you wonder where this virus is. When many people were saying that it's in the Free State, now the ministers come out to say it's actually not in the Free State. That was a false case.
Yeah.
So it's when these facts aren't 100% certain, people start getting worried, people start coming up with their own theories and their own analogies, and we must just stick to the facts when it comes to this virus.
Indeed, and you see, I want to pick up on that very last line. We must stick to the facts. Jeffrey Stevens, the health minister, very annoyed yesterday about the so-called Free State case of coronavirus, which it was reported that this person had not been outside the country, and yet he had contracted this virus. That has now been proven to be untrue.
Yes, for me, when I heard the bits of news coming through, I was the first thing that crossed my mind was the supposed victim of contracting the virus locally. Which part of the test would suggest that that person that you contracted it from, where does the test stipulate that that person was the giver of the virus? And there's nowhere, I mean, it's the little bit that we know of what the test involves is a temperature and a fever and that type of thing. If you show similar to flu-like symptoms, those would be red flags as far as contracting the coronavirus is concerned. And when people said to me, but no, she just said that or the person said that they got into contact with a Chinese businessman with no knowledge of whether this person was abroad in the last month or two, that for me was already a signal of, but that can't be.
Yeah. Hardy, looking at the economic considerations of this coronavirus, you are a business reporter, and is this the reason, or could the reason behind government's hesitance to implement travel bans be based on the economic calamity that does look to go hand in glove with this breakout of coronavirus?
Most definitely, and we're seeing it across the globe already. We're seeing investors and the stock market panicking because it's almost as though people don't know how deep and how far this coronavirus actually goes. And we're already seeing the ripple effects of this coronavirus on the economy. Many people are saying that Wuhan hasn't been, in business since this massive outbreak has happened. So the government is, of course, treading very, very carefully when it comes to how much, how much almost, I wouldn't say fear, but how much they put out there, because if they put a travel ban, one can only imagine what that's going to do.
Yeah.
Already headlines are speaking about how airlines are suffering globally. People are cancelling their trips, whether it's business or holiday. People are not travelling because there is this massive fear. There are lots of travel bans across the globe as well. So government is, of course, being very careful as to how much they put out there and to make sure that they don't cause too much panic in the markets.
All right, look, let's wrap this up, because the Cabinet is due to hold a special meeting that's on Sunday, and government is likely to come up with a broader plan of what the country can look forward to in terms of government managing this.
Before you go into the business day, can we just link the Cape Argus' headline,
Sure.
which also has to do with COVID-19? Just quickly, just over the last day, we've heard cancellations of sporting events due to the coronavirus. Fans will suffer, athletes will suffer, sponsors will suffer, and the direct result of those is economies everywhere will suffer, because people, I don't think people understand the size of sport as a business. And professional athletes, I was watching a bit of the PGA, the Players Champions, and they had supporters at the TP Sawgrass where the event was played, and they confirmed that because of the coronavirus, the next 3 days will be supporter-free. So many of these sporting events, the F1 this weekend has been cancelled because of the virus. The India versus South Africa ODI series will be played behind closed doors. No fans, no atmosphere, no money coming into these particular events.
Tell you what, Jeffrey Stevens, when you deliver the sports report, what we are going to, or sports bulletin, we're going to actually ask you to compile for us a list of the players who've actually contracted the coronavirus. But let's end it there for the moment with coronavirus. Very quickly, Heidi, the Bible in front of you, of course, talks about the much anticipated report into the governance failures at the PIC. I think what people are interested to know is anyone going to be prosecuted? The President has referred this report to the NPA.
Well, it's in the NPA's hands, and they will have to decide whether or not they take those recommendations made by the PIC Commission of Inquiry. A number of people have been heavily implicated, including the man at the centre of it all, Dr. Dan Matjila. He was the CEO at the time when all these investments and transactions took place, and the report is very critical of his decisions as a CEO. The reports clearly, the report says it, as it states the fact that he was extremely evasive as a witness. He did not speak the truth, and he was almost trying to shift blame in terms of saying, just because I was a CEO does not actually mean that I have answers to everything. I had a full team, but the full team was not briefed properly by the CEO, who should be the one briefing and making sure that due diligence is followed, proper processes are followed. I mean, we're speaking about government employees' pension funds here, the largest asset manager on the African continent.
And one of the companies that had monies coming from the PIC invested in it is Segunjalo. They responded yesterday, or reacted to the release of the report. What are they saying?
Most definitely. So they're basically saying that they've been cleared of any wrongdoing. They're saying that the PIC report speaks to the fact that the PIC has issues with their processes and they aren't following proper processes, and the fault lies with PIC executives and not with the very close relationship, which the report mentions very clearly, that existed between Dr. Matjila as well as Mr. Survey.
And what about the returns on investments that were made into companies such as Segunjalo? But anyway, look, we are going to probably get more detail coming out of this report having been released finally by the President. For the moment, thank you very much,
sure.
Heidi Jockers, and you can walk away with your Bible now.
I will. I can't wait.